9 out of 10 dogs that get given up aren't given up because someone stopped loving them. They're given up because somebody chose a breed based on a photograph, and 18 months later, they're sitting on a sofa in front of a stranger saying, "We love him, but we can't do this anymore." I've been in that room more times than I want to count, and here's the part that should worry you. Not one of those people saw it coming. They didn't buy a difficult dog, they bought a lovely puppy. Friendly, easy, brilliant with the kids, and every single one of them thought they got lucky. Because these breeds don't show you the problem when you buy them. The problem arrives later, on its own schedule, somewhere between 8 and 18 months. And by then, the dog is fully grown and you're already in love. So if you're thinking about getting a dog right now, or you've got a puppy at home and things are going suspiciously well, I want you to watch this properly. 9 breeds. And number 9 is the one that catches out even experienced people, including trainers, because with that one, the failure doesn't look like failure until it's far too late. Hi everyone, I'm Leo Bennett, your neighborhood dog guy, and I'll say this plainly, there isn't a bad breed on this list. Every one of these dogs is spectacular in the right house. The trouble is what they were built for. Every breed here was engineered deliberately over centuries to do a job. Run 100 miles, control the movement of livestock, go down a hole in the dark and face something bigger than itself. Guard a property and decide alone who gets in. And that job does not switch off because you live in a semi-detached with a small garden. The instinct comes with the puppy. It fires up in adolescence, and if you haven't given it somewhere to go, it will find its own outlet, and you will not like what it picks. I've got form here too. I badly underestimated one of the small dogs on this list once, and it taught me a great deal. So today, 9 breeds, what each was really built to do, exactly where it goes wrong, and the correct way to live with one. And number 9 goes last. Let's start with the one that fills the rescue centers. The Siberian Husky. Gorgeous, theatrical, talks back like a moody teenager, and completely uninterested in most of what you have to say. And here's the mistake almost everybody makes, expecting a husky to want to please you. He doesn't, not the way a Labrador does. This is a dog bred to run enormous distances across empty terrain, making independent decisions about footing and route, with no human close enough to consult. So when you call him and he looks straight at you and then leaves, that isn't defiance. That's the breed working precisely as designed, the correct way. Understand that reliable off-leash recall is not realistic for most huskies, and stop treating that as a personal failure. Long lines and secure fields exist for exactly this. Give him serious daily exercise as a baseline, not a treat, and find the sass funny rather than infuriating because you're not going to train it out. If you want a dog who hangs on your every word, this is the wrong dog, and there's no shame in saying so before you buy one. Now one nobody expects on a list like this, and I'd argue it's the most underestimated dog in the country, the Dachshund. People see the shape, they see the legs, and they treat him like an ornament. But look at what he was made for. Going underground, alone, in the dark, to face a badger. A badger. That job requires a dog who is fearless, absolutely certain of himself, and entirely willing to ignore your opinion. That's adorable in a puppy, and it's a serious problem at 2 years old. It's why they've got a reputation for being difficult to house train, and it's not that they can't learn it, it's that they've decided the rules are negotiable. The correct way. Treat him like a dog, not an accessory. Same boundaries, same rules, same training you'd give a German Shepherd, just smaller. And take the back seriously. The long spine is a genuine vulnerability, so no jumping down off furniture, ramps rather than stairs where you can, and keep him lean. A tiny tyrant with a bad back is the most common way these dogs end up miserable, and both halves of that are preventable. Third, the one that gets recommended constantly by people who've never lived with one. The Border Collie. Frequently called the most intelligent breed on earth, which is true, and is precisely the trap. A smart dog is not an easy dog. He'll learn a command you spent a week planning in about 10 minutes, and then spend the rest of his life looking for stimulation you can't provide. And that herding instinct doesn't need sheep, it needs movement. So in a normal house, it lands on children, cars, joggers, bikes, the vacuum. That's where the nipping starts, and where you get obsessive fixations on shadows, reflections, and lights. The correct way. Give him a job with a start and a finish every day that uses his brain rather than his legs. Scent work, trick chains, herding balls, agility, and please, no laser pointers, ever. A light chase is the classic route to a genuine obsessive-compulsive problem in this breed, and it is heartbreaking to watch. Physical exercise alone makes an extremely fit dog who is still looking for a job. Fourth, and this one changes character on you, the Akita. Powerful, dignified, deeply loyal to his own family, and made of solid stubbornness. This is an ancient breed built to guard and to hunt large game independently, not alongside a handler, but making his own decisions. The mistake I see constantly is owners charmed by a calm, quiet puppyhood who conclude they've got an easy dog. Then adolescence arrives, the guardian instinct comes online, and suddenly there's a 100-plus-pound animal deciding for himself who's allowed in the house. Akitas can also be genuinely intolerant of other dogs, which people find out late. The correct way. Socialization from day one, and I mean deliberate, ongoing, structured, not he met some dogs at the park as a puppy. Lead him without bullying him, because force with an Akita buys you nothing. Manage the dog-to-dog stuff honestly, rather than hoping he grows out of it. And if this is your first dog, please choose something else. It's not gatekeeping, it's just arithmetic. Fifth, the small dog with a rocket engine in it. The Jack Russell Terrier. Bred to chase prey into burrows and dig like his life depended on it, and that drive does not care that you live in a flat. It doesn't switch off. The problem isn't intelligence, they're sharp. It's the combination of enormous prey drive, relentless energy, and a stubborn streak that means he'll happily run his own life with or without you. And the mistake is the same one people make with the Dachshund, assuming a small dog needs small exercise. A bored Jack Russell digs up your garden, escapes your fence, chases everything that moves, and barks until your neighbors hate you. The correct way. Channel the drive rather than trying to suppress it. Flirt poles, digging boxes he's allowed to destroy, terrier sports, scent games. Take the fence seriously because they're escape artists and they'll go under rather than over. And be careful around small pets because that prey drive is real. It's not a training failure, and it's much better managed than tested. Sixth, and it's the one hardly anybody outside the working world knows, the Australian Kelpie. On paper, he's a Border Collie's cousin and the failure mode is similar, but the intensity is a step further. This is a dog bred to work from sunrise to sunset in punishing heat, covering enormous ground and simply not stopping. He's not built to settle. He's built to keep going. And that's the specific problem in a normal home. A lot of owners can just about meet a collie's needs on a good week, and a Kelpie will still be looking at you at 9 at night. The correct way. Be brutally honest about your actual life, not your intended one. If you're not doing dog sports seriously, or you haven't got livestock, this is very likely too much dog. If you have got one, teach an off switch deliberately. Settle on a mat, calm chews, enforced naps, because he genuinely won't find one by himself. A Kelpie who never learns to stop becomes a Kelpie who can't. Seventh, the one that gets bought because of how it looks. The Chow Chow. It looks like a teddy bear, and the trouble starts right there, because it isn't one. This is one of the most independent, dignified breeds you'll ever meet. Chows don't crave your approval, they're often described as more cat-like than dog-like, and they choose when they want affection. Now, both the sources I looked at frame that as a flaw, and I don't. It isn't a defect, it's a different set of needs. What is genuinely challenging is the combination. Intensely loyal to one person, reserved with everyone else, strong guardian instinct, low tolerance for repetitive obedience, and often not that interested in working for treats. Add a coat that's a serious grooming commitment and eyes set deep enough that their peripheral vision is limited, which is why sudden approaches from the side don't go well. The correct way. Socialize from the very first week, because that aloofness hardens with age, and it's far easier to shape early. Don't drill him. Asking for the same thing 15 times is the fastest way to lose a chow. Find what he actually values rather than assuming it's food. And respect the space he asks for, because a dog who's allowed to walk away is a dog who doesn't have to escalate. Eighth, the one people want because of films, the Belgian Malinois. Elite, brilliant, and far too much dog for almost any household. People see one take down a bad guy on screen and think, I want that. You don't. What you saw was an animal with a working drive so intense that without a job, it will invent one, and you will not enjoy the job it picks. This breed needs purpose the way the rest of us need oxygen. A 30-minute walk is a warm-up. The correct way. Honestly, for most people, don't. And that's not me being dramatic. The rescue system is full of these dogs at 14 months, surrendered by good people who were completely blindsided. If you do have one, structured daily work isn't optional. Bite sports, detection, tracking, obedience drilling, something with real demands. And get help early rather than at crisis point, because a Malinois problem at 8 months is a training question, and the same problem at 2 years is a very different conversation. Which brings me to number 9, and the reason I made you wait. The Cane Corso. And this is the one that catches out experienced people, because the failure doesn't look like failure until it's very late. Here's what happens. You get a puppy who is confident, calm, and stable. Genuinely lovely, no red flags at all. He's easy. So he gets less socialization than a nervous dog would, because there's nothing obviously to fix. Then somewhere around 14 to 24 months, the guardian instinct switches on, exactly as the breed was designed to do. And now you've got a 110-pound animal who is making his own assessments about visitors, and no history of being taught what a normal visitor even is. Real-world example. A family had a corso who was, by everybody's account, the best-natured puppy they'd ever had. So easy that they relaxed. At about 18 months, he started positioning himself between guests and the front room, and then he blocked a delivery driver in the driveway. He'd never bitten anybody. He wasn't aggressive. He'd simply grown into the job he was bred for, with nobody having taught him where the boundaries of it were. And by then, he was strong enough that management was the only realistic answer. The correct way. Socialize the easy puppy harder than you would a difficult one, and keep going right through adolescence, rather than stopping at 6 months when everything seems fine. Deliberately teach your job is over, a place to go when someone arrives, so he has an alternative to deciding for himself. And build handling and control at 40 pounds, rather than discovering you need it at 110. This is a breed where the work has to be done before you can see why you're doing it. So take this one thing out of all 9. None of these are bad dogs, and none of these owners were bad owners. They're working animals living in houses with no work in them, doing precisely what centuries of breeding told them to do. Give the job somewhere to go, and most of these problems never turn up in the first place. And if you're watching a video about which dogs are difficult before you get one, rather than finding out at 18 months on a sofa in tears, you're already doing the single most useful thing an owner can do. So tell me in the comments which of these you've got and what age it turned. The Husky who has never once come when called. The Collie who herds your children. The Corso who decided the driveway was his. I read every one, and they decide what I make next. And if your breed isn't here, that's not a snub.